and welcome back to another segment of Raul's World of Synths. I am Raul. This time we're going to be continuing the series on the Doepfer A124 Wasp Filter. We've been talking about basics, and then we did kind of a basic demonstration of the different filter types found in the A124. Heard kind of what the notch filter sounds like, the band pass, the low pass, and the high pass, and even what happens when you adjust the ratios in between. I thought, since we had done that already, that it might be interesting to kind of compare it to a previous filter that we looked at over here, the A121, kind of waiting in the wings over here, so to speak, only because it's got the same types of filters. It's got a notch filter, high pass, band pass, and low pass. I thought it would be interesting to kind of hear the two of them together and then maybe sort of gain our own conclusions about what some of the disadvantages of one versus another are and what some of the advantages are of one versus the other. So without further ado, let's kind of get our patch going. As we talked about before, let's go down to the A155, take a look at that. The A155 right now is responsible for sending out a series of triggers here in the two rows at the top. Now these are sending out triggers that are over here on the right being received by our A140 envelope generator. If we look back at the A155 again, now those two rows over here are also responsible for the notes that we're going to be hearing shortly. And if we go back to the right hand side, those notes are then coming over to our oscillator right here. And then they're going out from our oscillator into our VCA, A131, and from here they're going to be going up into the two filters. There is also a segment over here next to our A155 in our voltage controlled switch, but as I said before, I'm not going to quite explain how all that's happening right now. That's for another time, but just know that that's kind of involved over here, and that's giving us 8 notes. So let's go back to our A131. We're going to be taking the output from there at the A131, and we're going to be using a very special cable, only because I didn't want to try to incorporate a multiple somewhere in here. It wasn't practical for what we were shooting and all that stuff. So we're going to be using this cable over here, stack cable. There we go. It's got a little port on the back, and then that's going to be feeding signal out to our two filters. So if we go over to our amplifier, I'm going to be patching in right here. There we go. And then I'm just going to take that and I'm going to go up into my first filter right up here, my Wasp filter, and I should immediately hear sound. There we go. So now one filter is set up and we can hear it immediately. Let me bring it all the way to low pass because that's where we're going to start. And then let's go back down to the A131 as it's doing this, and I'll set up the second filter. So I'm going to just patch right into the back of this. There we go. And then I'm going to take this cable up to the top and go right into my A121. There we go. So if we look back at the A131, the blue cable is obviously going up to our A124 Wasp filter, and then the red one is going right in the back of that. This is acting as a multiple, this blue cable. And then this cable is then going up to our A121. So in case you were new to that sort of thing, just wanted to explain that. So let's go back up to our top section, and I'm just going to patch out the low pass and then go over into input number 2. Signal's all the way down, so right now all we're hearing is the Wasp filter, which is what we want. I wanted to kind of start with that one. So my resonance is a little bit high, so I'm just going to bring it down. Thought it would be good to start without any resonance whatsoever. So there we have just a standard low pass filter. Let's bring up the cutoff. So low pass, bring it down. Just turning it a little bit just so you can kind of hear it. So get that in your ears. We're going to turn this down, and then we're going to bring up our A121 over here. So let's bring that up. So it's sort of similar. Let's bring up the cutoff. Bring it down. tried to match the audio level of our A121 to the audio level of the Wasp filter as well to get it kind of as close as an approximation as I could for this demonstration. So that's our A121 low pass cutoff. Okay, so hopefully you got that in your ears. And bring that down. Now let's crank the resonance up on the A124 and bring that little guy in. So here we go. Maybe it needs a little more. Let's adjust the cutoff a little. Okay, so that is our A124 in the low pass position with maximum resonance, of course not up into self-oscillation, and then a frequency cutoff of about right there at about a 6. So let's try and reproduce that over at the A121. So I'm going to bring this down, and let's try to match up. Audio levels already matched, so let's bring frequency to about a 6, and then let's bring our resonance all the way up. There we go. And then let's bring up our A121. So it's still distorted, but very different kind of character, because you can hear this one, the A121, going into self-oscillation. So it's a little more, I like to call it a little bit more unruly than the other filter. The other filter, even though it was very distorted, it seemed almost more controlled because it was just kind of clipping. Okay, let's adjust the cutoff a little bit. Get the whole range of resonance sounds. So right there, the maximum frequency cutoff with resonance at the maximum. Let's bring it down a little bit. So we get kind of nice little drone. Okay, let's bring our A121 down, and let's bring back our A124. We'll try and do the same thing with that one. So let's bring frequency cutoff all the way to the top. Notice up here we're not getting that kind of sustained self-oscillation. Let's bring frequency cutoff down. Right there, it's almost got a nice little sweet spot where a little change goes a long way. Bring it down a little bit. And we get something similar to what we had at the A121 at the lower end of the filter, where it's kind of boomy, but it almost sounds, to my ears at least, a little more boomy than what we had over at the A121. So that's at a setting at about a 2.5. So let's bring that down and then see if we can hear it over at the A121. So I'm going to bring it back to about 2.5, bring up the A121. So here it's kind of more of a sustained tone in that self-oscillation, versus in the A124, it sounds a little more like this. Kind of more moving. Okay, so there we go. That's our low pass. Now, let's go ahead and take this out and then just go into, let's see, what do we want to start with next? Since we're using this output, let's just go straight up to notch territory right in the center, and then we'll take notch out of our A121.